Rick Tittle beats his servants.
I ain't begotten no servants. If I did, I'd be hella nice to them. Welcome back to the show, coast to coast, border to border on Sports Byline USA. Also around the world and over 500 outlets on the American Forces Radio Network. Quite happy now to be joined by Caleb Mitchell, MMA fighter. He's going to be fighting in Santa Rosa, California this Saturday as he returns to the cage. How you doing, Caleb?
Doing well. How are you, Rick?
We're doing fine. Now, I'm 46. I definitely remember the Mitchell brothers over there at the O'Farrell Theater. Not that I went there every night or anything, but very famous brothers in San Francisco. And we know that there was, a family tragedy that went down. But you're the son of Artie. What was that like growing up in that family?
Well, although he got a lot of bad publicity after his death, I believe, he was a great father, and he taught me a lot of great values, and, I love my family.
Now, as the youngest of six, you either were the baby and got spoiled, or you got beat up every day. Which one was it?
I'd have to say my older brother, Aaron, did beat me up every day.
But in a way, see, my older brother beat me up every day, too, and he used to call me Don't Stop, because all I would say was, don't stop. But then after I ended up playing, college football, I kind of think maybe that made me tough. Do you kind of look at it that way?
Definitely. I took my focus and tried to channel it in a positive way. That's why I've started mixed martial arts, started Gracie Jiu-Jitsu with Cesar Gracie, and fought some of the toughest fighters out there, sparred countless rounds with boxers and kickboxers at GracieFighter Pleasant Hill, Combat Fitness, El Nino Training Center, and that's definitely what's given me my drive.
Now, talk about who Cesar Gracie is, because, it's amazing, his methods. You would think the methods, after thousands of years of martial arts from both the East and the West, that nobody would have new ideas, but he kind of did have some new ideas, didn't he?
Yeah, Cesar's been wonderful. He's him and his whole family, Nick and Nate Diaz, Gilbert Melendez, Dave Terrell, they've all really helped me out a lot, and they've come up with some new training methods. They've adapted judo, and they've adapted American wrestling, put it all together in the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it's just created a whole new martial art that's actually quite young in terms of the entire philosophy of martial arts throughout the years. Speaking
with MMA fighter Caleb Mitchell, and I hear about these Brazilian disciplines of some of these art forms. Now, when the Brazilian, because normally you don't think of Brazilian martial arts, but for them, they figured out a way. It's a lot about leverage, isn't it? About maybe taking down the bigger guy, even though you're smaller.
That's what made me want to start. When I originally watched the UFC, I saw Royce Gracie taking down these enormous guys in the Ultimate Fighting Championships, and I said, hey, my brother's 4 years older than me, and he used to beat me up. He was a lot bigger than me, and I said, hey, that's exactly what I need, a way to take down the bigger opponents. So that's why I started, and that's why I've continued doing it for 14 years now. I've got my brown belt under Cesar Gracie, and that's what's enabled me to really excel in martial arts as a whole.
Now, when you got started, you start off 3-0. It looks like you're going to be pretty dominant, and then you had some setbacks, and by your own admission, some crazy stuff happened that got you out of the sport. So this really is kind of, you've come full circle, and it's really redemption for you that you're going to get back into the cage, right?
Definitely. After going 3-0 in the IFC, I got the United States Bantamweight title belt, and then I went and fought my fourth fight in Hawaii against Barrett Yoshida, world-renowned jiu-jitsu black belt, and I actually went up a weight division to 145 pounds from 135 pounds, so I started fighting at my walk-around weight where everyone else was cutting, and I lost that fight, and then I went on to fight one of the toughest in the world with Kid Yamamoto, and lost that fight as well. So at this point, I'm 3-3, but got back from that fight and got in a car accident, which was pretty terrible. Had a little bit of nerve damage, which took me out for a couple of years, but I have such passion for the sport that I stuck with jiu-jitsu, and I stuck with my kickboxing and boxing, and it took me several years to really feel strong again, but after that, now I'm back more ready than I've ever been in my life. So I'm really amped and happy to be jumping back into the cage here in 3 days.
MMA fighter Caleb Mitchell and Bay Area Sun is with us here on Sports Byline. And talk a little bit about the bout on Saturday in Santa Rosa. Don't you think it's a good sign, you being a Gracie fighter, that it's going to be at the Grace Pavilion?
That's a good point. I actually didn't think about that. I'm going in there to have a match against Tony Lamas, a very experienced fighter. He's had 22 fights in mixed martial arts competition, and it's with Cage Combat there in Santa Rosa. They're starting up their show again, and I'm very happy to be with them and just fighting again, man. It's great to be getting back in the cage.
Now, Caleb, about 20 years ago when I was working in TV, we used to show these shoot fighting matches, and it basically was just a street fight. It was just a brawl, and it's amazing to me how this sport has come over the last couple decades, because now you go in there and you just want to be a street fighter, you're going to be out in a matter of seconds. The discipline that goes into these fighters, the training that goes into it, I mean, you get in the cage, you have to know precisely what you're doing, and you're going to be tapping out real quick, right?
That's true. I don't really think of it as a fight. I think of it as artwork, like mixed martial arts says. You know, I go in there and I'm performing art. You know, I've trained this so long, and I've done jiu-jitsu for so long, and just really put my heart and soul into it. And through a great diet and rehabilitation here at Hercules Health Center with our hyperbaric chamber, I've been able to just feel great and feel strong and mentally focused, ready to go in there and perform.
Now, when you get into the hyperbaric chamber, do you? I guess you can't go in with an iPod. You just go in there with your thoughts and your fears and the furies in your own head. I mean, what do you do when you're in there?
You know, you can go in there with an iPod. It's
okay.
It's an oxygen chamber, so you go in there and, you know, it gives you a time to just relax and think about things as well. You know, I actually don't use an iPod, but I'll go in there and I'll focus on my tasks ahead of me and just really prepare and get ready and think about the recovery and my next training session, because now I'm waking up bright and early, eating really well, and training multiple times a day with some of the world's best.
A couple more questions for Caleb Mitchell, and you know, the statistics show that boxing is a more dangerous sport than MMA. Even though you see the big puffy gloves and they're not kicking, they're not rolling around or punching each other, or they're not hitting each other with their elbows and things like that. And I guess a simplistic way to look at it is that boxing is more dangerous because everything is about a headshot. I mean, is that it?
I would have to say so. I think taking too many blows to your brain definitely isn't healthy. And in mixed martial arts and with the cage fighting, you can actually avoid that by doing takedowns. You can get the guy on the ground, and it's more of a well-rounded art. And you don't have as many head injuries in the sport. So I would definitely say that for me, submission and you know, not so many knockouts is definitely the way to go.
All right, now with mixed martial arts, obviously there are so many disciplines that you can use to your disposal, but it sounds to me that your number one is jiu-jitsu. What else do you use?
Yes, my number one's definitely Gracie Jiu-Jitsu with Cesar Gracie, but I've also trained with George Tsutsui in kickboxing, Casey Strand in wrestling, Team Black with both kickboxing and boxing, and then, you know, world-renowned Gracie Jiu-Jitsu people like Mateus, Andre, Cayotera, Alessandro, Dave Terrell, George, Bill, Monty, all black belts from Cesar Gracie, just really amazing athletes.
Well, I trained with Team Black, and I beat everybody up, so they kicked me out, Caleb. Finally, for people who want to get tickets to Grace Pavilion in Santa Rosa on Saturday, how do they go about that?
Well, they can go to cagecombat-caleb.com, www.eventbrite.com and get tickets. Or for all the disabled vets out there, the Wounded Warriors Project's helping us out, and so is Cage Combat. They're offering free tickets to those disabled vets from the Wounded Warriors.
All right, well, Caleb, good luck in your match. I hope you beat the snot out of Lamas. I don't know who he is. I'm on your side now. So congratulations that you're back in the cage again, and we look forward to perhaps catching up with you again down the line. All right, buddy?
Thank you very much. I'd like to thank my sponsors from DC Solar Solutions, Leap of Faith Farms, Hercules Healthcare, the Wounded Warriors Project, Eurasia Motors, Fidelity Realty, and Max Muscle, and most importantly, all the fans out there and listeners, because without you guys, it wouldn't be possible. So follow me on Caleb's Cage. It'd be great.
Caleb's Cage. Okay, don't forget Ovaltine.
Ovaltine, you too.
All right, hey, Caleb, thanks a lot. We'll take a quick break. Come on back on Sports Byline USA.
Thanks a lot, Rick.